All right, good morning. How are we doing today? As Sean mentioned, I am the director of our vessel boarding program. And right now we have about 12 people spread out all around the U.S. and Canada. And if one of our clients requests technical assistance on board their vessels, we can get someone there to help them out. Most of the work that we're doing right now usually deals with a vessel's getting ready to have a Coast Guard exam, and the client says or goes, well, I want to make sure before the Coast Guard comes on board whether or not we're ready for it, or they may have us come on board during the Coast Guard exam because for some reason or another, mariners have a tendency upon occasion to get a little bit nervous when the people in the blue suit come on board the vessel and the captain, the chief engineer, they get to that point where they're not sure what to do and they answer things kind of not quite right. Our people can go on board and help calm the captain down, calm the chief engineer down, help prod them along to assist them in making sure they make it through the Coast Guard exam with little or no problems. Okay, that's probably one of the biggest things that we do. We also can go on board and do ISM audits. Should a vessel have a problem, so they're wondering whether how good their training program is going on board the vessel, how well the vessel is following the company's own policies. We can go on board and take a look at that situation. Now, one of the things Sean was just talking about is things that we have seen here recently dealing with Coast Guard exams. One thing I've noticed, and I'm a retired Coast Guard Marine inspector, there's a change that has happened over the years. And nowadays, the exams are being a little less technical and more audit. They're poring over our books and our oil record books and our sounding logs. And then they're going and taking that information and going down to the oily water separator, making sure that what we're logging in the oil record book matches what is in the system for your oily water separator. Also seeing a lot of paying really close attention to stuff that's not in the plans. We've had a vessel that was tied up for a month in Lake Charles, Louisiana, because there was an extra fitting in the freshwater flush line on their ODME. Now think about this. What's the daily rate for your vessels? How much money are you going to lose if that vessel's tied up for a month over a fitting? And these are the things that we try to go out and help people out and look at. Other things that we can do, I had a situation come up a few years ago where one of our vessels had gotten in trouble with the Coast Guard over some problems with the oily water separator. Chief engineer was confused. He had 5 Coast Guard people sitting there peppering him with questions, and he got kind of nervous. And when he was explaining how his piping system for his oily water separator, how it worked, he got some things mixed up and confused. What ended up happening was the vessel was detained, chief engineer was arrested, the company ended up paying a couple $1 million in fines, and to this day, I still feel that chief engineer just got flustered. He didn't do anything wrong, just how he explained the system. So what we did on that vessel, I talked with their technical staff, and we came up with some god-awful way of painting their piping system. Had candy stripe piping for downstream. We had solid colored piping for coming into the system, so that the chief can sit there and look at it and sit there and go, okay, yes, now I remember, and I can explain it in good, easy terms to whichever. It could be U.S. Coast Guard, it could be any other port state control officer. and made it easier for them to sit there and answer these questions. One of the worst things our foreign clients never want to hear is them words from the Coast Guard saying, well, we're going to detain you. Because the detention costs money. And it's not right up front, but in time and stuff like that, it costs. Like I said, a lot of the things that we can do are preventative and just talking with your people. One of the other things Mike wanted me to talk about is, if you take a look in your gift bags, we got our little challenge coin. And he asked me to kind of talk about this because I was one of the two people who came up with the idea of why we're going to give this out this year. Challenge coins have been around in the military since the Roman legions. Nowadays, they're used, as a way of saying, hey, thank you for your service. You've done a good job. They're not going to give you a bunch of money, but here's a nice challenge coin. I have a rack at home with about 20 of them on it. I've been lucky enough, I've gotten challenge coin from 2 presidents, both President Clinton and George W. Bush. They're just things that are given out, and in certain units, they'll sit there and, you get one when you get to the unit. And at times, the challenge part of it comes into effect. The master chief at the station will sit there, walk up to a new guy at the station and say, all right, you have your challenge coin on you. The idea is they're supposed to be kept with them or within arm's reach. You keep it in your pocket or something like that. And they'd ask them a question, usually something to do with, what's on the commandant's reading list for this week? So you're supposed to know that. And if you know that, you get to keep your coin. If you don't know it, you got to give your coin up. So the idea is to keep your coin and stay up on your knowledge. But that's just some of the background behind it. And I hope you guys enjoy it. I think it's kind of neat. And it's just something a little bit different. What I'm going to do now is, anyone have any questions about our vessel boarding program? And this doesn't have to be just foreign flagged vessels either. One of the things that's coming up, I know we got towboat operators here, right? Subchapter M is coming right down, barreling at us really fast. And there are different ways that we can meet the requirements of Subchapter M. You can have the Coast Guard do everything for you, or you can have an audited program where you can have a third party help you out. And that's something we're looking at getting involved with. I know we got some fishing boat people out here. You ever run into that problem where you've been boarded and they gave you a laundry list of stuff that you need to fix and you're not exactly sure what you need to do? I have the people that can help you out with that. And if necessary, I've got people who are qualified to do ISO audits. This is office stuff. And if you're familiar with ISO, it's now 2018. They just changed over from the ISO 9000, 9001, 2005 to 2017. So we can help you meet the requirements of that as well. So any questions?